Well, hello, welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. If you remember not too long ago, I was trying to get all my little drain pipes in here and I ran out of drain pipe and I want to finish that job up today. It's a beautiful October day, first day of October. It's got one of those great blue skies up there that we get in the fall when there's not a lot of moisture in the air, and it's really just too nice a day to be out here working.
Twenty minutes later.
All right, well that was well worth it. So let's pick up where we left off last week. Come on, check it out. So I used up all the pipe I had. I have a few fittings left over and just a couple scraps of pipe. I probably need about 40 more feet to finish the job. Where I have to go through now is a bit more rougher terrain. I got a lot of downed trees I got to move out of the way. The ground is very uneven and I'm making my way to a creek. So first thing I'm trying to do is just kind of clear the area out and just kind of prep it so I can at least get the tractor in here to start digging with the backhoe. When I get about 5 feet in front of where the PVC is ending right now, I'm going to widen it a little bit because I got to make one more junction between my drain tile pipe and the gutter pipe and bring those together before I head to the creek. The orange line on the left was a mistake. The one on the right is the route I'll be taking. Working with the backhoe in a wide open space is pretty simple and easy and enjoyable, but when you start getting a little cramped with some trees and uneven terrain, and if you're not just making a simple trench, it gets a little bit more difficult, especially if you got to dig off access rather than directly behind the tractor. here I'm kind of alongside where the trench is going to go, so I'm not directly behind it, and it makes digging with the backhoe a little bit more difficult. Not only does it get harder when you start digging deeper, but then your trench gets a little bit wider and it's harder to keep it straight. One other thing is that I had tight quarters to begin with, and when you start taking your spoils and putting them in areas, you got to think about, are these spoils going to be in the way of my next step? I messed up here. I should have used a longer wood blade on the sawzall, and I had a shorter one because I thought the dirt was going to be in the way, but I ended up kind of butchering the end of my pipe. As I start adding sections of pipe, I find it's easier to just start covering it up and just leave it a little bit exposed, which is going to take some of the spoils out of the way and give me more room to work with and maneuver the tractor around. I had a few comments from the last video working with this pipe, and somebody mentioned of putting like a filter cloth on top of it. Another person mentioned using gravel all the way up on top of the drain tile side that I put the drain tile next to the pole barn, and I guess I could have done those things, but I didn't really want to go too overboard. I'm going to try to plant grass next to the pole barn, so I didn't want to take gravel all the way up to the top. And I think what I'm doing is going to be effective and just kind of a safety measure that I didn't have to do too much overkill for it. All I'm really looking for is to channel most of the water away from the pole barn and to keep any moisture coming up from the concrete inside the pad area. Another thing I probably could have done is I could have also put down like a nice plastic strip, like a warning tape or like a police line tape in the ditch just above the pipe, so when I start getting close, if somebody starts digging, they would see that before hopefully they hit the pipe. For now, I should remember where it is until I start getting old and senile or older. And, you know, I should mention that I probably could have put like a warning tape in there just above the pipe just to be, never mind. This last part is going to be a little bit of a bear. This last 15 feet is going to kill me. I have to take out maybe about 8 more inches of soil, and the best way to do it is probably just to do it by hand. I did get 40 more feet of pipe and I used that up, and I really only have about 4 more feet to go, so I just got a couple scrap pieces I think will be just fine to use. Just putting this on the end to keep the critters out, and I still want to be able to take it off if for some reason I had to run a snake through there or try to clear it out or unblock it. I was debating whether putting a 45 or a 90 at the end, and I ended up going with a 90 just the way the creek runs. If I wouldn't have put anything at the end, it's possible that the way the creek runs over here, and it does come pretty high, it could run right into the pipe and pressurize it and actually start backfilling that pipe. But on this 90-degree angle, it should create like a Venturi effect, and it would go with the flow of the stream and actually pull water out of the pipe. I probably should have mentioned that I could have put down some hazard type tape, so if somebody were to be digging in the future, they would notice it. Some of that squeaking is me with my foot on the brake. I'm trying to be careful not to let the front tires go down into the trench and make things more difficult for me. And definitely I don't want to crack that pipe. I'm not sure what is worse than a rough grade, but it's worse than a rough grade out there right now. It's going to be a work in progress to get things all leveled out on the side here, on this side of the pole barn. So a lot of work to do out there. If the weather cooperates this fall, maybe I could get a jump start before we start planting grass around here and getting things leveled out. But for now, I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy these videos and subscribe. And keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody.